Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Georgia Perakis. I'm on the faculty at MIT and also serving as Associate Dean for Social and Ethical Responsibilities of Computing at the Schwarzman College of Computing and on the faculty at the Sloan School. It is really our great pleasure to have Secretary General Mathias Cormann, who is since June 2021 the 6th Secretary General of the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, and he started last year his 5-year term. He was actually born in Belgium, and in 1996 he migrated to Australia, and my understanding is he's currently living at Perth, Australia. Before coming to Perth, he graduated in law from the Flemish Catholic University of Leuven. And a very, very important fact is that he actually in 2001 obtained his private pilot's license. Prior actually to his appointment as Secretary General at OECD, Mathias served as the Australian Minister for Finance, the leader of the government in the Australia Senate, and as federal senator representing the state of Western Australia. In all these roles, he has been a strong advocate for the positive power of open markets, free trade, and the importance of a rules-based international trading system. Above all, thank you for joining us, Secretary General.
Great to be here.
Thank you. So maybe we can start off our discussion, and you can tell us why, in your opinion, you felt you should take this role, and why is it important to think of and work towards international policy making and collaboration on AI? Can you give us some examples of AI challenges, opportunities that would benefit from this international approach?
Well, so why I took this role at the OECD? I mean, the OECD is an organization that brings together 38 countries from around the world who share a commitment to democracy, human rights, the rule of law, market-based economic principles, and who work together to develop the best possible policy approaches to a range of challenges we all face in common or we all face together, to find the best possible ways forward to identify policy best practice based on an evidence base. Now, in relation to AI specifically, it's clear that there are many exciting opportunities and many exciting benefits from AI, but there are also a series of potential risks, downside challenges that are associated with it, which need to be managed in the best possible way. And I mean, this is a technology which operates without borders. It's a technology that really is becoming a general purpose technology, which operates in pretty well the same way all around the world. And so the challenges are very similar all around the world. The opportunities are very similar, and it makes a lot of sense to have common standards, common approaches to ensure that we have the best possible opportunity to seize the benefits while also putting ourselves in the best possible position to manage some of the risks. I mean, AI, as we let AI become more and more, impactful in our day-to-day lives, if AI makes bad decisions in relation to, diagnostic decisions in relation to health treatments, for example, or if there are faults or issues that arise in the context of mobility or finance, it can have very severe consequences. And so really, what we've focused on here is how can we optimize all of the benefits in terms of delivering beneficial impacts for people's lives, while also making sure that we've got the sort of appropriate risk management frameworks around it and the right social and ethical framework around it.
Thank you. These are actually great examples and really represent some of the things that MIT as a whole is also working on. So I'm really thrilled to hear your commentary. Can you talk a little bit, now you have been a little bit more than a year in this role, and can you talk a little bit about the impact that you see and you believe the OECD AI principles are having so far?
Well, look, what inevitably happens with rapid technological innovation is that the innovation comes first, and the policy that needs to sit around it to put the appropriate boundaries around it comes second. And so I guess, the first important job that we believe we did with the development of our AI principles is to really raise awareness. If I look just over the last 6-7 years, the increased focus by governments around the world in terms of putting AI strategies in place, there's been a massive increase of both awareness and in terms of actual focus and commitment to address some of the downside risks in order to ensure that people can benefit from all of the upside opportunities.
Can you actually, I would be curious to hear a little bit about some of the things that surprised you, but also some of the things that you find to be the biggest barriers for adoption and implementation?
Well, the big barrier, it is this never-ending and endless sort of game of catch-up. And to a degree, we want innovation, we want progress, we want people who, test boundaries and find new ways of solving problems. And I guess sort of one of the barriers is really, you're always starting a few steps behind, both in terms of skill set and in terms of resources. And I guess this is where it's important that organizations like MIT and others around the world, we really need to develop the skills to be able to put the appropriate frameworks in place so that we can have trustworthy and AI that delivers all of the potential benefits, but that it also operates in a way that is socially appropriate and I guess trustworthy. What has surprised me, it's it really, the extent of the skills gap is enormous, and really, there's a big body of work to be done to put ourselves in a position collectively around the world to really deal with this in a way that is ultimately responsible and safe.
Can you also discuss a little bit about what surprised you in a positive way? So let's talk about the positive part and not just the barriers.
Yeah. No, that's, well, there is an incredible hunger to do this well. People understand that this is an exciting sort of advancing frontier, and people can well understand all of the potential of AI. And what I'm very pleased to see is the genuine commitment across governments to get this right and to find that right balance, not to stifle innovation, not to stifle the opportunities, but to really grapple with how to do this well. And that's a positive thing.
That's great to hear. What is some of the additional work on these issues that you are contemplating these days? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So, various things that we're looking at. We are, for example, coordinating AI incident reporting. So any incident, material incident around the world, be that in relation to, say, health diagnostic, or be that in relation to transport-related AI or whatever. We collate all of the incidents from around the world and sort of seek to share experiences on how best to address them and deal with them moving forward. And that is a very important part of our international collaboration effort. And related to this, the incident reporting is looking back, but we also have the AI foresight focus, where we try to project 10-20 years from now, what some of the likely challenges and opportunities are going to be, and what the policy implications of that might be. These are two aspects, but then more generally, of course, we work through the G20 and other fora internationally to try and promote the adoption to the greatest extent possible of common standards, to really provide a level of predictability, certainty, and confidence in I guess the frameworks, the regulatory frameworks around artificial intelligence.
Great. You know, I mean, I can see at MIT, we very much work like you in terms of promoting interdisciplinarity. And I can see that the work that you are doing is cutting across sectors. So first, can you talk a little bit about how OECD decided what sectors to focus on its AI work? And how are you actually dealing with cutting across sectors as you are?
Well, I mean, so the OECD, I mean, it is, you know, we do have this whole of public policy focus. I mean, anything that has relevance from an economic, social, environmental policy perspective across infrastructure, energy, health, communications, you know, and you name it. I mean, we sort of have an area within the OECD that has got great expertise. How did we prioritize? Well, we essentially focused to one. I mean, you know, firstly, we focus on those areas where we perceive the highest level of risk. I mean, if you use AI to, I mean, if AI is deployed to give you your movie recommendations based on what you've previously watched, there's not really much risk attached to that. If you get, you know, if you get the wrong movie recommendation because AI malfunctioned, there's not really much of an implication there. But when it comes to decisions around health treatment or indeed, you know, credit ratings or you know, whether you get a loan or not, I mean, some of the implications can be somewhat more severe. So we've looked at those areas where we perceived that there was the highest risk and the highest risk impact, and then complemented that by focusing on those areas where there is a separate high policy priority focus. I mean, and the environment, climate change, energy security, energy efficiency. So, I mean, so these are really the two ways that we've sort of sought to prioritize our focus.
And may I ask a little bit, since you talked about health, how COVID-19 has helped towards your goals, or maybe has not helped?
Well, I mean, so the digital transformation was well underway prior to the pandemic, but you know, of course, in the context of the pandemic, it massively accelerated, and so to the extent that you know, we had to find that balance on how to seize all of the benefits and while better managing some of the risks associated with it. I mean, that challenge has increased further. I mean, during the pandemic, I mean, the upside of the digital transformation of AI have been very obvious in terms of what it has enabled us to do in terms of maintaining activity and so on, and keeping, to be honest, I mean, keeping business and economies going. But you know, so some of the downsides also became more acute, and so what it has done is it sort of further increased the level of focus on the issue and the level of awareness.
So it has helped, but it has posed challenges. It sounds great.
Yes, sure.
So you have been collaborating with any stakeholder communities in the AI space. Can you tell us a little bit how you manage this collaboration? And also, what type of outreach are you doing for non-OECD countries?
So, firstly, I mean, we do bring, of course, experts from across OECD member countries together, and that goes across government, business, academia, civil society. But we always invariably go beyond OECD member countries in our work, and in AI specifically. I mean, with countries like Singapore, Egypt, India, Brazil. I mean, we have very active engagement, but of course, I mean, we very much rely on you know, organizations like MIT to continue to supply us with the necessary, well-educated, highly educated, and highly skilled experts to continue to help us develop our work and to help the world develop the work that needs to be done in this space.
Thank you. Can you speak to us a little bit about some of the work that OECD is doing to foster collaboration on international AI initiatives, and more particularly to support interoperability between national AI policies, for example, AI standards, regulations, laws?
Well, so I mean, this is, I mean, so we developed the AI principles, which were, of course, released a couple of years ago now, and we do organize the standard setting work through our normal processes, but like essentially bringing experts from around the world together through our committee structure. And indeed, I mean, we have a ministerial council meeting on the digital economy later this year, where we will further seek to advance some of the standard setting work in relation to AI in particular as well. And we take that work into fora like the G20, which of course has countries other than OECD member countries in it as well, very important non-OECD member countries in it as well. And to the greatest extent possible, encourage countries to adopt policy best practice based on what we've learned from the experiences around the world.
And I have to say, I was born and bred in Greece before I came to the US for graduate school. So it was great to see Greece listed among those countries.
Greece is doing very well. Greece is doing very, very well.
That's great to hear. So one of our passions and my own passions here at MIT that are priorities is basically to lead climate action. And I know these are some of your priorities as Secretary General, and that you want to help secure global net zero by 2050 in an effective, but also in a fair way. And I think we all agree that AI is a powerful tool in climate science and better resource allocation. Can you talk a little bit about what AI policies is ACD observing around the world that can help in the fight against climate change?
Well, firstly, getting to carbon neutrality by 2050 is absolutely critically important. I mean, the climate challenge is urgent, and we do need a globally effective action on climate change. And to be globally effective, given we're all on the same planet and emissions don't stop at anyone's borders, to be globally effective, action does need to be globally more coordinated and more coherent. And so in that space, the OECD is doing a lot of work trying to facilitate the exchange of data and information about what works best, but also to facilitate dialogue on how to improve the level of global coordination. Now, in terms of AI specifically, AI, I guess, poses a climate challenge in its own right. It's very energy intensive. So there is a focus on how we can make AI itself more climate friendly. But yes, I mean, the opportunities of AI and the need for AI to help us solve some of the technological challenges on our pathway to net zero is enormous. And, you know, in terms of more efficient energy allocation, in terms of, you know, all manner of aspects of the climate transition. So managing this digital transformation, the climate transformation in parallel is going to be extremely important. And again, it comes down to seizing all of the benefits and really optimizing the benefits while sort of addressing some of the downsides. And with AI, there is a real climate-related downside too, which we're very focused on addressing.
And I know that I shouldn't keep you much longer, but as we close, I wanted to ask you, you have a 5-year term, you finished your first year in this role. At the end of the 5 years, what would be, in your opinion, something that you wish will be your biggest accomplishment, if I may ask? Well,
so what I need to say, it's not about me. And so, I mean, I see my role as a facilitator of a number of great countries who are highly motivated to deliver better policies for better lives. And I guess in 5 years, I would like to look back on the effort that we made all together to deliver better policies for better lives. And whether that is in terms of optimizing the strength and the quality of the economic recovery post-COVID and now beyond the war of aggression against Ukraine, Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, or whether that is in relation to being on a credible path to net zero emissions by 2050, whether it's in terms of really having cracked the challenge of optimizing, seizing all the benefits from the digital transformation or better managing the risks, whether that is focusing on having our global markets in better shape in terms of the rules-based trading system, or whether that is really finding ways to advance our, to promote our values and principles beyond the OECD at the global level. I mean, there's a lot of work that we're all doing together, but fundamentally, it's all about delivering better policies for better lives. And I see myself as a facilitator, not as the one that's sort of solely responsible for what's happening.
That's great to hear. And I'm assuming we are ending this discussion with a very optimistic and positive tone. Thank you very, very much for joining us today and for sharing your thoughts. We wish you the best of luck in OECD accomplishing all its goals and addressing all the challenges that you discuss. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. That's great.